And we are back with another episode of the Dumb Stuff We Like podcast with Brian.
And Chris, what's
We
up?
here.
That was I'm slow on the uptake.
That was a lob. that was a lob. It was like, wait,
almost hit the ground.
got him. Hey, it's beautiful. But you know what I'm saying? Another week, another day in the life. Balling out.
Another week, another month. February.
Oh yeah, it is February. This is the first podcast February.
Yeah,
And last episode was like the 30th, 31st.
Yeah,
30th. Yeah, 30th. Confirm. But yeah, new month, baby. New month, new me. Who this?
new month, same me.
Same
New
other
bullshit.
me. Oh yeah, always new bullshit.
Always new bullshit.
Always new bullshit. This week, keeping the news light. Like I don't feel like it was a light news week, but I mean not light stuff. I gave a crap about. Gave a darn tooting about. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there was the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean
That happened.
See that's one of the things that outside the tooting of darns. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But yeah, so for news this week, we did have just a few topics, and then after the news, we'll get into what our topic is for this week, which is we're gonna ride that nostalgia train we started last week,
Right.
and we're gonna pull up to the I guess next stop or next station, whatever you want to do for your metaphor.
This next station. This works.
Yeah. But before we do that, the news stories we got. So the first one is Castlevania for all you anime fans, all your weebs, and video game lovers. Which that cross section is much overlapping.
Right.
But
Hard.
Netflix had the Castlevania series the last 2 years.
Yep.
They had season 1, which is about 4 episodes, season 2, which is about 8.
Yeah.
So at this pace, hopefully season 3, 12 or
That's the dream. That's the dream.
16, which is like insane with too many.
I would say it would be too many. Like you can really oversaturate yourself. Where at this point you're just doing a bunch of random stuff in the meantime. Like we know. You get the gist, or I mean, the news is season 3 is going to be airing on Netflix, and on March 3rd should be back. And on March 3rd. Oh, and another piece of news, really with this, I mean, we'll primarily talk about Castlevania here, but for those who care and have seen it, Altered Carbon, that actually season 2 of that. Starring Anthony Mackie is going to be airing on February 28th, the week before that.
Okay.
I watched season 1 of Altered Carbon. It's actually pretty good. Changing the actor, or the primary actor, who's going Anthony Mackie is going to be Takeshi Kovacs, the main character of the show, and it's it's going to be interesting how they actually push through the main character. He's the same person, but he has a different body. So that's like what the show is about. And I'm interested in seeing how they portray that through the rest of the show. But primary news was Castlevania's coming back, because Castlevania has been enough to get a season 3. Like people love season 1, season 2 was crazy hype, and we're actually back around to season 3.
Yeah, we have to pick back up where they had, I don't even remember the woman's name.
Oh yeah, that lady's just trying to take control. Dracula's
vampire.
dead, but I mean, Castlevania, Dracula always dies. It's kind of his thing.
He usually comes back.
That's kind of his bag.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm pretty hyped for season 3. The animation is just like the tier of animation is ridiculous. I mean, it is Netflix money,
right?
And then on top of that, they take their time. It looks like they're taking their time with the show.
Right.
The only fear is that with more episodes becomes like less quality. You
right.
start divvying that quality up to get more episodes out. So.
And I think they probably won't push into full like episode production. They'll probably keep at like the maybe like 6. You do your 4 initially to see what interest is. People like it. Okay, then you finish out that season with the 6. And I mean, they might split this one too, do a 5 and 5 maybe, or something like that. I'm not sure if I would expect like a full 10 to drop all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean maybe Netflix is. I mean, still that's their formula, is to drop everything at once.
Or I mean, so, and that's, I guess, like what I like having, like what you're doing is almost like not even like a mid-season type deal. Like I know the first part ended with like they got Alucard on their side, and like, okay, the fight with Alucard was like the end of that, and like, okay, things are gonna change now going into the next part,
right?
Really. So I'm like, I imagine maybe the same thing again, but if they drop like another full 10 episodes, I'd fully expect Dracula to be back and fight Dracula again at the end of another 10 episodes. But if you do 5, you can have your side villain, that chick, whatever her name is, and then you do that, and then at the end of that, it's like, okay, Dracula's popping back up. We gotta handle this problem again.
Yeah.
And then you go through your next back. There's a little time in there, and it feels more than, I mean, when you're watching it straight through, it's like, just kill Dracula. But when you split it up, it's like, okay, now Dracula's back next year or later this year or whatever.
There could be that. I mean, the cool thing about Castlevania is it follows that whole Simon Belmont, or I guess Belmont family.
Yeah.
So you could pick up anywhere.
Right.
Like realistic, and with vampires being, the way they are, where they can just go to sleep, or
Right.
they can just live forever and kind of hide. Like that opens itself up to storytelling possibilities. It gives you pretty much like a wild card when it comes to writing, that you can just be like, now we're 100 years from the last series.
Right.
And you can introduce new characters, because it kind of seemed like we got the ending for at least Simon, or
I have no idea.
I can't.
Like
I
we
always
play
forget his
Smash
name.
Brothers. We play Smash Brothers, so it's like you're thinking Simon and Richter, but I'm
Right.
not sure which Belmont is actually in the show. Like if I was at gunpoint
Trevor.
right now, Trevor Belmont,
who's one of
the
the earlier
Right.
Belmonts in the game, and then Simon he's Simon's Quest Belmont,
Right.
so he's like the second game, and then there's Richter comes way down the line. So like
Okay.
they're, like I said, it opens itself up for possibilities.
I think
but
that would
him-
be interesting too. Like actually just moving on to the next. Like you have Alucard still there, but you move on to the next Belmont.
Yeah, I
Like-
think that's where I would imagine they were going.
Yeah.
I know that they left it at where the villains got away,
Right.
technically.
I mean, yeah.
But again, vampires, they go dormant. Like, it could happen.
Right, and that would give a lot more credence to Dracula coming back.
Yeah.
Like, it's not next week. It's
exactly.
Time has passed.
Right.
He's been gone for. I mean, there's no saying that Simon is Trevor's like son. He'd be like his great grandson. Like he'd be down the line a little bit.
Exactly.
So it's like it's been a few hundred years now. Dracula's
Or
coming
even
back.
give us super twist and give us a female Belmont.
Even that.
That would be interesting. But in any case, beyond the animation, the storytelling is great. They pull from a extensive lore. And if you haven't checked out anything from Castlevania, there's tons of videos on YouTube. But I highly recommend checking out like the leaderboard.
Yeah.
They have a great breakdown of like the Belmont family, or just even the games. So there's so much lore there. And if you're into that like vampire stuff, where you want it to be still pretty dark and a little
Right.
twisted, Castlevania is right up your alley. It's not so like anime either, the story.
Right.
It's very European Gothic style, which I love for vampires.
Appreciate it.
But I would highly recommend checking some of those videos out and just getting a little bit into that lore. It's going to get you really hyped for this season of Castlevania.
Yeah.
And then so that's it for Castlevania news. But then we did have like I don't want to call it a small piece of news, but the Super Bowl happened, and with the Super Bowl, the part that we generally care about is the commercials. And
right.
within those commercials, usually big ass trailers that drop, right? Or like
Right.
big reveals. So we did have some more like extended looks at certain trailers, like the Black Widow. Birds of Prey got like a little bit like they got some TV spots essentially.
Right.
So we got to see a little bit more of those characters. Taskmaster in the Black Widow trailer, he actually does like the Captain America like kick his shield up to his arm, and there's a little bit of that going on, which is dope. So we get that. And there's not much else in that trailer that I can kind of remember sticking out.
Yeah.
But that's cool. And then we had some Birds of Prey stuff, which I think it showed Roman Sionis in a black mask in the trailer, like actually putting it on.
I don't think I got to see that trailer,
But I mean, it's really not.
Yeah.
Too, I think she talks to the hyena. Harley talks to the hyena, calls him Bruce.
Yeah.
Because that's his name in the movie.
And I know, like I saw another. Actually, I may have seen that TV spot, but I may have not. Like a lot of people were giving like hella credence to the mask, I wasn't. So I may have seen it and just didn't even pay attention to it. But I know she was like, when we spoke before about her talking about the dogs, one's Bruce and one's Wayne, and her being like, she's talking about the one dog. She named him Bruce after that hunky Wayne guy.
Yeah.
And like,
so you're like, okay, so she doesn't know it's Batman.
Yeah, she's just like,
he's a famous
really
guy without
the
being
most
Batman.
famous guy in Gotham.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like, yeah.
So yeah, they got a little bit of that, and then I think for us the more exciting trailer was the Disney Plus trailer.
Yeah, for the Marvel TV shows, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and Loki. It's like a single TV spot for like 30-second TV spot, but it has like all the shows in there.
Yep.
You see Sam Wilson throwing the shield, like him pulling the shield out of a tree, and then like him like practicing his throw with it. which was interesting. I was like, I mean, that looked like an exercise. Like that's not light to
Right.
do.
I
And like
mean,
it was
maybe,
work.
but like,
It's work
yeah,
to
you have to
flick the
be.
shield, and then you get to see the Winter Soldier, Bucky with oh that always always call that guy something. He's Zemo, right? He's not there's two guys and their names are both Z, and I always get them confused.
He's Baron Zemo. Yeah.
He's Baron Zemo in I forget the other guys, but the guy in Winter Soldier, in the Winter Soldier movie where they were talking to. But yeah, you get to see him and even Zemo in the thing. So it's like he still exists as a villain in the universe, even though he was in.
Oh, Zemo in U.S. Agent. Is that what you're talking about?
Or Zemo is the guy you see his face like when Bucky has the gun and he's like pointing at the guy and like to drop the bullets in front of him and stuff like that.
And then at one point he wears this like purple stupid mask from the comics.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's a dumb mask, but
okay, it's probably somebody I didn't get throw money at.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you see that like that character still around doing his thing. I mean, he was playing the Avengers as a whole, like the big game with them. So it's definitely going to be like some intrigue and stuff to the show, and I expect it to be kind of a good bit more like instead of like really large spectacle and more like almost Winter Soldier like special agent type stuff. Like special agent or spy espionage, like a good bit of that in it. You mix in the heroes doing hero stuff, but I expect to see kind of like more of that out of the show.
I think you're right. I think that I'm into that stuff, so I'm totally all for that.
That keeps your realistically keeps your budget down for making your show.
Yeah.
But you can still throw your fights in there. These are superheroes. Let them superhero fight when it's time. But in the meantime, you could do other stuff. And you got to see U.S. Agent like at the like a football game or whatever. Like take the field. Like looks like real. I mean, you look at it from behind, you're like Cap, but you know it's not Cap. Right. So it's like So that's definitely looked interesting. Like that show itself, WandaVision looks going to be. I'm trying to think of a show that's done something similar, but the closest thing I could probably get to is saying like American Horror Story, but like instead of like how they go in between seasons, like keep the same characters and they're playing like different roles through the seasons, but it's like all one season of the show, but things are changing, like going in and out. But at least that's what I expect to see, like maybe full episodes of like them being in a single time period, like show different outfits, like specifically her comic book like uniform, the Scarlet Witch's comic book uniform.
Oh so, yeah, the outfit, the classic.
Yeah, with the
classic
thing,
with the actual like crown.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that show as well. Seeing what they do with Wanda, because her power set's really
it leans into that. I mean, that's her power set is to create alternate style reality. So, or just kind of, she's got like one of those catch-all powers.
Yeah,
like she can do almost anything kind of deal.
This is really just expanding her reality too. I wonder how if they're gonna show like in the beginning how she ended up getting into this situation, or and me thinking about it, the she's supposed to be in the what's the name? Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah,
and but this is gonna come out before that.
I think this series itself looks to be, because it takes place after. This is the first post Infinity War, Endgame Marvel content we've received outside of
Spider-Man,
Homecoming. So
yeah,
and Homecoming was like so lighthearted and so outside of that it doesn't really affect it as much.
I mean, they didn't really show like all the characters, but everyone was doing. You just get to see what Peter's doing.
Right, and you're talking about a character who was in love with another character who got iced by Thanos, so it's totally different. Yeah, and I mean, I think what this show is going to be is her coming to grips with that. Because what it looks like is she either created a version of Vision in this alternate reality, and this is her mind dealing with it. Right. Because it seems there's that clip where she's like in the black and white. Out of it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think it's her battling with that in her own mind.
Right.
And that's maybe her powers are going like a little bit out of nuts, like out of control.
And I think that's another thing like like in the comics that they explore is like her powers, like she isn't always able to control them. Sometimes they're able to get away from her, and in her grief from losing Vision, like permanently, like she lost vision and then she got snapped. So she didn't really have time to process that.
Yeah, exactly.
She gets brought back, and then like, hey, you're the guy.
You gotta fight.
And,
yeah.
yeah. So it's like really, she really hasn't had time. I mean, and I think that's an interesting thing as well for the character, even for Bucky and Sam Wilson. Like they didn't really get to function like a lot of time, even with Cap.
Right.
Like after the snap, like Cap, like a lot of 5 more years, like without them, but then like they come back and Cap's this old man. I mean, I guess you still get to talk to him. You say what's up, run up, do some up, every once in a while. Say what's up, old man. You know what I'm saying?
Homie?
What up, OG? But so that's interesting. And I think in the show we've got the smallest look at is Loki, and a lot of people are compare Loki to like the movie The Joker, but I'm like, this is like a small portion of what Loki's doing at any one point. It's like, or you see him like in what appears like a jumpsuit, like he's in jail or something like that. But it's like, this is a very small portion of what Loki does or is going to be doing in the show. He's not going to just be in prison. Loki gets away with the Tesseract. Loki's going to be around doing literally whatever he chooses to do at a moment's notice. So I think like some of the clips or whatever like that people have had or have seen were just already these things before even the Joker was a thing like it was. So it's just like, okay, this is just what we have. But
this is going to be, so he's wearing a jumpsuit from the TVA. TVA is a Time Variance Authority. They are a kind of not obscure. They're an older group of people, like older organization from the comic books that dealt with people who manipulated time outside of the multiverse. Pretty much people who are messing with time that they didn't like, and it's their like job. They're like the Nova Force, but with more like time and stuff manipulation. So they're out here trying to make sure that nothing messes with time to a ridiculous degree. Which him getting the Tesseract and obviously effing off
right
is gonna cause some issues.
I mean,
and this is the jumping off for the what if. That's all this is for.
Okay.
I would even venture to say he's going to be in the Doctor Strange movie because this comes out before that, so it just makes sense.
Right.
I
mean, that doesn't be interested to see.
Possibilities are there. TVA's in there. It's still comic books, people. It's not the Joker movie. It was good.
Right.
It's not really a comic book movie.
Right.
It's not. I mean.
Right. I mean, since I'm just saying, like people are making the comparison. I'm not keen on that. I don't take any variance for that. It's like, oh, he's looking like he wants to say, you wouldn't get it. It's like,
where are you getting this from? Yeah,
people are so small-minded. They see one thing and everything is now that thing.
Energy, man.
Yeah, it's like right. I mean, they see one thing and everything is now this thing now because this is popular. Wild, but alas, a lot of and these shows are getting also. I think I'm not sure if it happened during the like commercial during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But they also got release dates. Falcon and Winter Soldier supposed to come out in August.
Mm-hmm.
So we did mention we haven't seen any trailers for yet, but we also know is coming in October is the second season of The Mandalorian,
mm-hmm.
which is another hype show. Disney Plus has. I'm interested to see the continued quality of like the Star Wars and Marvel content on Disney Plus. I mean, we haven't seen these shows yet, so we don't know if they're good. But we know they're coming out. I'm gonna do the weekly release. I expect to see just like we got the Mandalorian, the original first season of Mandalorian. So see that, and then I want to say was it November, December that
November
is WandaVision.
Yeah.
Man, they're gonna have shows airing simultaneously.
Kind of.
Because the Mandalorian and what's name will be airing simultaneously if the Mandalorian's having those episodes.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Unless you just do it at the end, I guess you can do that. And then Loki is supposed to be airing in 2021.
Spring next year.
Yeah, sometime spring next year. So there's definitely content to look forward to, and I'm looking at seeing how they're like take your characters that were in your movies,
mm-hmm.
and you have TV shows, how you link those like really. You had the Marvel Netflix shows, and they sat
outside of it.
Yeah, where they're like reference like the initial event, and then like all this stuff is going on. But these shows actually with characters who could still really pop back up into movies. I wonder how that's gonna play out like long term. Like we'll get Falcon Falcon and Winter Soldier movie coming off now that after he's
Falcon
like
movie.
the Captain Falcon movie.
I can't wait, bro.
Once he can like they're both like bouncing the shield to each other and shit like that. It's crazy combos.
If he doesn't do a Falcon punch, then he's fired.
I need that Falcon punch. That'd be great.
Mission compris. But
I think that's all.
That's it for news.
Yeah, that's it.
And let's get into our topic. Today's topic. We're again on that nostalgia train. We're going to talk about some video games from our childhood.
Right.
We're going to try to keep it under, I guess, before
the 360,
PS3, Wii era.
Yeah.
So everything before that, and between. I mean, obviously, we weren't like out here.
I wasn't playing Pong. I wasn't playing Pong, the original Pong.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
So we're gonna bookend it, I guess. Super Nintendo. I wouldn't even say Nintendo Entertainment System. I had one. But
I had one, but like, yeah, I was too young for it to matter to me.
The SNES.
Right.
And the Sega Genesis will bookend that, and then the end will be GameCube, PS2, and Xbox, the original Xbox. So as far as games go, I mean, I don't know if you want to do this like chronologically.
I was thinking chronologically.
We can do that. So let's just start let's do this all the way to the beginning.
Super Nintendo.
Right.
Getting to play like Super Mario. I'm bringing it in with this just to like deviate, like just start with the big hammer and then like follow from there. Get to play Super Mario Brothers. Like what that was for you as gaming, like how you have other games like people play. I'm sure Duck Hunt was like in the Sight Bite were like older games, but like you get to play Super Mario and just be like, this is fun. But even being young and sucking at the game, like you're not getting through it like it will, like you or your older siblings or other adults that were around that could play, but you're still just like, you always had fun playing that game. Even if you started over all the time, you're just like, those first levels, if nothing else.
I don't remember like raging as a kid playing Super Mario. I mean, now it would be different, but but yeah, no, Super Mario was a good game. I don't think I started off with Super Mario, to be honest. We had both Sega Genesis and a Super Nintendo growing up because I was spoiled.
There you go.
That's just facts. But
that'll do it.
But I actually played a lot more Sonic growing up.
All right.
The way it worked in my house was the Super Nintendo was my mother's. That was her thing, right? And so she had games, and it wasn't like memory cards or nothing. So if you're playing, it had 3 save files usually on the cartridge, right?
Right.
And if you played on one and you effed it up, that was a wrap.
Yeah.
Like you're banned. So I usually didn't touch the Super Nintendo too much. I did play like Donkey Kong Country on like the second file and stuff like that. And that was more of my introduction to the platformers. We had Super Mario, but like I played it a few times. I liked it. I understood the appeal. I didn't really revisit that game until I got older and was like actually decent at video games. But as a kid, Donkey Kong Country was where it's at, man. Like the sounds, like the controls, all you get to ride a rhinoceros. Like that shit's fire, bro. Like
and the parts like when you're a kid, like different parts of games like attach themselves to you. I remember playing Donkey Kong Country and like pushing the button to swap between them, just like the hand slap, just doing that for like the longest. Just
the intro to that game is so hype. And people forget it's Cranky Kong.
Yeah,
who's cranking his like little like gramophone. Yeah. And then it comes in and like the whole thing, and the Nintendo logo, like the Rare logo, like drops, and then you hear them like bouncing, and it's Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong with the fucking boombox, bro. Like that shit is so hard.
This shit goes in and I think like there's like small aside on Donkey Kong itself is like Cranky Kong is the Donkey Kong from the original Donkey Kong game, and he has a son.
Yeah,
and that son has Donkey Kong. He's like, that's
Kong
like
Jr.
he's playing his song,
and
then they come in like remixed it. It's wild. That's great like lore and stuff for the game in building the universe.
Awesome. It's so 90s too because it's like Diddy Kong has his hat and it's like backwards at one point, and they're like jamming out to this boombox. They're basically breakdancing.
It's real hype.
So Donkey Kong Country, to me, has a very special place in my heart. All 3 of them. Right. Even the third one. I know people shit on the third one. The second one has the best soundtrack.
I really only played the first one. Like I know of the second one and like what's going on, but I've seen it on Game Done Quick. primarily somebody break the game to
Just
beat it
like
real fast.
hella speed run,
But
doing dumb stuff, like going behind the levels and
yeah,
dumb stuff.
freaking like just floating up the level behind the
Well,
screen.
that
It's
was one
crazy
of the
stuff.
first games too where I like on my own, because back then there wasn't, you can't just go and like game facts or
Right,
that wasn't available. So any secrets you found were like either word of mouth at school
right.
or like you just accidentally came upon some dumb shit.
Where you're like, oh man, where's this level? Or
Bonus
like, where's
barrels.
the where's
Oh, I
the
missed
where's
the
the
jump.
level? Where's this O at? Where's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
where's
yeah.
where's the O and Kong on this level? Like
Yeah,
where
yeah.
is this? Like where you figure out how to like drop the thing on the ground and like make it explode, come out of the ground, like using the rhino,
Or you figure out
break
like,
through the wall.
oh, I missed this jump. Oh, there's a barrel here. Oh, I'm in a bonus stage. Oh, here's letters. Or like even like learning like you can get like the game teaches you without tutorials, right?
Right.
They're like, oh, there's bananas in this pit, and if you fall, you die. You lose a life. But you can roll and then jump after the roll. So the animation lets you roll and you jump.
fall.
You fall down and you can jump out of that roll without any ground there. And it's just like, I'm a god. Like you can't touch me, bro.
I'm the magic man.
Like
I figured this out.
You go to school. You're like, bro, I'm the fucking best Donkey Kong player you've ever seen in your life.
Did that and
At me.
even other games like like back to Super Mario. Like once you get the feather and figuring out how to actually fly, like that was
The rat, bro.
probably one of the hardest things.
You can't
like,
even see yourself, or
Right,
you're
you're
like
just-
trying to do you're running back and forth, trying to get enough
trying
like
to,
distance.
You fly, you just fall down, and you just click. Those are the coins you
'cause
get.
you're still
But
trying to figure out
how to like actually keep it to where you can like
bouncing
actually,
up and down in the air.
get
pretty
across
much.
the thing. Yeah, that was wild stuff in the games. Like this is like you can do just a run, jump, float down. Yeah, that'll work. But there is parts of this game to master and really be like, okay, yeah, I can manipulate systems in this game to do wild and crazy stuff.
And that's the thing with those platformers, especially like Nintendo. They're so polished to the point
Right.
where the level of play, that skill, it's such a wide berth, dude. You can
Right.
beat this game as a kid, just getting by, right? Just dying a lot, or
Right.
just playing the game, or you can come back and you play that game and you're like, let me show you something, little bro. Like
after playing Mario Maker a bunch,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like, yo,
exactly.
yeah, dog, this is nothing.
you're just a straight god.
You're just like, these are easy levels. These are baby levels.
But yeah, dude, Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3, 2 and 1, amazing soundtracks. If you go look it up on YouTube, I know I'm keeping plugging YouTube videos, but like there's tons of them. You should just look up the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack. It's just they're awesome. But those are some of my favorites. And then you get other games like that kind of slide in, which again, Sonic the Hedgehog, I had 1, 2, and 3. And Sonic was the first game I had that kind of introduced DLC where you can actually drop. So Sonic 3 had a cartridge called Knuckles that you could buy separate. You put that into the Genesis first, and then it had a little top. You flip the top back, and it's another cartridge slot, and you slide in Sonic 3. And that's how you get Knuckles into the game. He's a DLC character. You get to play Knuckles in Sonic 3, dude.
That's wild, son. Some
That's
early
that's
DLC.
some 1992, 1991 DLC shit, bro. It
That's
might have been a little
crazy.
bit later than that, but like that's the kind of stuff where I was like, you go to school and you're like, bro,
Playing with Knuckles.
I got Knuckles, my guy. And he's like, how? That doesn't no.
Knuckles
You mean
doesn't
you mean
exist.
that other guy that's running around? Because you
Right.
probably don't even know his name unless you got the cartridge.
Right.
And you're like, you mean the red guy? You're like, yeah, dude, Red Sonic. I got Red
I
Sonic.
got Red Sonic.
Red Sonic, dude.
That's it. I got
He's
Red
like, well,
Sonic.
how? And you're like, come over, bro. I'll show you everything I know, my guy. And like
Red Sonic.
those games were awesome. The soundtracks for those games were actually like composed supposedly. I can't remember if this is like straight facts or if it's ever really been
Oh, it's
verified.
Michael Jackson.
But Michael Jackson had worked on it, right?
I want to say like it was a thing that he had made at least some songs.
Okay.
He had done
Definitely
some
composed
stuff for it. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it was entirely by him, but I know he had done some songs.
And you can tell there's a lot of that like
Yeah.
pop in there, and it's the theme levels, dude.
Oh man.
The game actually isn't that good if you go back and play it. For a game where all you're supposed to do is be fast, there's a lot of stuff that like makes you wait and be slow.
Sonic is probably one of the first games that give like kids like true anxiety and stuff like you're in that water level.
That was my alarm for so long because it gets you up.
Right, you're like, oh god, I'm panicking. Help
But-
me, please.
But some of those platformers are like the earliest games I got to play. And then we got a bunch of puzzle games on the Super Nintendo. And by like puzzle games, I mean stuff like Bubble Pop and or Bubble Bobble, or even Kirby's Dream Land Puyo or something like that,
Yeah.
which is another Tetris style game. But speaking of, there was a few other little known games, like Super Mario Kart. And
Hey,
Super. Oh, was it Yoshi's Island?
I don't know if
Yoshi's Story, Yoshi's Island. One of those was on the Super Nintendo, and one
I'm
of
not
them
sure.
was on the N64 later.
Probably, I think Yoshi's Island was first. And Yoshi's Story was later.
Okay.
Yoshi's Story, I remember specifically like with Baby Mario.
Baby Mario. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think
I don't.
Yoshi's Island probably.
But those are some more classic games that we liked.
Yeah,
And then I mean,
Fine.
did you have Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo? Did you get to play that?
No, another
Or
game I
Battletoads
had.
or anything?
What is it? Um, we were. I'm pretty sure you and I were talking about this. That has Haggard from
Streets of Rage
Streets
or
of
not
Rage.
Streets of Rage. The other one, Streets of Rage, is with Billy and them. Haggard.
Was it Final? No, it's not Final. It's Final Fight.
Final Fight.
Final Fight. Yeah,
Final
that was
Fight.
another like game played through, fucking kicking ass on Super Nintendo.
That was the game. Like that was me and my cousin's games. Like
Yeah.
the beat 'em ups, like all
Yeah.
of them on the Sega, whether it was
And-
Streets of Rage or
and
Final
I
Fight.
and I don't remember specifically. I remember having like several games like, but that's it. Like it kicks like so far back. Like
It
really,
is
really,
long.
like in my head, like of all the extra games you had, like you remember playing like some stuff, but I played so many games since then where it's like, oh hey, okay, what are you playing on PlayStation 1? It's like, yeah, blah, 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 all these other games, and I got 360 games and all this stuff like in my head. So but I remember specifically
Don't
playing.
worry, I'll
Final
pick
Fight.
up the slack.
I
So
pick up the
we had games like Battletoads. All right, Battletoads. You get to play as Rash. Rash is the only one I remember, bro.
Rash, what is it? Pimple or something maybe?
Pimp Zitz,
Zit,
and
yeah,
the other guy,
the other guy.
Booger or some. It's some other crew thing. But like, you got these guys, right? They're just giant toads. Some of the hardest platforming in a beat 'em up, bro.
Right.
They had those levels with the bikes. Bro, it's a wrap. And you had games like Turtles in Time. The sounds I have stuck in my head from playing that. The announcer for each level would, because they're traveling through time, he would say what location you're in and what time of history you're in. They'd be like Big Apple, 3 a.m., New York, and you're like, just that like subtle intro to every level.
Oh yeah.
And that was like back when Ninja Turtles was hype. So you had stuff like that. Beat 'em ups were my lifeblood. Like that got me and my cousins on the couch together, playing a ton of video games. And then moving on from Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, we had the next generation of consoles, which for me was the N64 and the PlayStation.
Yeah, N64 and PlayStation definitely. Was where I was. I had both. Like game.
Same.
Okay, everyone hyped up like Mario 64, or like Mario Kart
Tell
64.
him with the real king. The real
Diddy
king,
Kong
bro.
Racing, my
Diddy
guy.
Kong Racing. Y'all don't even know, dude.
Y'all don't know.
Y'all
son.
are a bunch of freaking
Followers, my guy.
small brain bros. If you played Super Mario Kart 64, or was it Mario Kart 64 over Diddy Kong Racing?
Diddy Kong Racing was godlike.
First of all, Diddy Kong Racing was for people who were probably too broke because it came with the N64, but also on top of that, shit was actually fire.
It was good.
It was a dope game. It had boss battles, dude.
Right.
You get to race against was an octopus.
Right. Octopus,
Hovercraft.
there's a dragon. There's all kinds of stuff.
What are some of the other features? You remember
Like the I know it's a game like there's 3 different modes to like play. You either you're driving a car, you had a hovercraft, or you had a plane. And you could I think you can do all the vehicles on like almost all of the tracks.
yeah, at one point you can, yeah.
Like, because depending on whether or not the track was like built for planes, and it was like places where cars couldn't go and stuff like that. But you can like choose which vehicle you wanted for the tracks. Instead of like the box with like the random item it would give you, like it had the balloons and they were like color specific, and you picking up multiple of that would upgrade the power up you got. You got to the point where like you had rockets, then you had homing rockets, and you had like multiple homing rockets, and you just light people up. Tracks, it was hype. The story, like, it had a campaign mode where you have to like drive around, like do donuts and just act wild.
That story
and,
was
like,
on drugs though.
Yeah,
Like,
it
I'm not
was,
gonna lie.
Elephant Genie.
There's an elephant genie on a flying
Like,
carpet.
Conker's in this game.
Hey,
It's like Conker's is a character you play in the game. Just pick up like nothing. Conker, I think they had some Star Fox characters too.
it was Conker. There was Diddy Kong, and
I want to say
that's the only characters I remember.
Slippy
No, because
was
there were
in it?
random characters, bro. There was like a straight tiger. There was like
straight.
there was like
tiger.
no, it was like a tiger, and then there was some other like just
I'm pretty sure
regular
it's from something.
regular animal. I don't know if he's from any games. There wasn't like Mario or nothing like that.
Right. I mean, he had his own thing, man.
They were
It's like,
original designed characters.
what's the name
Conker
of-
was
what's
the only one I remember that's like, oh, he's in another game.
I'm at this thing. I went Diddy Kong, or I didn't mean to go conquer Diddy Kong Racing. I mean just go Diddy Kong Racing.
While he is looking that up, though, the N64, I remember getting that, and I was so
Drumstick
happy.
the Rooster, Crunch the Kremlin,
I told you, dude, they're original characters.
Pipsy the Mouse, Timber the Tiger, Bumper the Badger. Oh, they're.
I love Timber.
Right.
They're adorable.
Oh yeah, the
designs.
clock.
But yeah, the game had boss battles. So after you defeat like an area, which would be like 5 races, and I mean like you'd have to do. It's like any other game where you have to earn stars or whatever to kind of progress.
Yeah.
In order to fight the boss, like the boss's door required like 5 silver stars, which means you have to go through the levels and actually get the silver stars, which were generally like time trials, and like you couldn't just like win the race. You had to like win the race, and then like also you had to do certain things in the race. So like pick up so many letters or whatever during the race. So the game had, I think it had a pretty high skill cap for like a kart game, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
But there was like so much of a sense of accomplishment when you beat a boss, when you finally figure out how to beat a boss. And I mean,
Banjo's
like,
a player in this game.
I don't know. With other mechanics in the game, just like the rubber banding and stuff, of course that stuff's frustrating. Rubber banding with a boss, and these bosses take up about 3/4 of the screen.
Yeah.
So when they're racing you, they're moving, and they are moving. If they get in front of you, you don't get the rubber band.
Right.
Like that's not afforded to you.
That's not how this works.
Right. You have a human brain. Like so that's
the human brain.
That's your weapon, right? Your brain and your reflexes. But yeah, that game is underrated as hell.
Right.
And
this is for people at the time. Great. It was great.
It's a gem. It's definitely a hidden gem.
And also, the not so hidden gem, probably the fucking best game to come out on the system.
Oh no.
Super Smash Brothers.
Okay.
64.
I was worried. I was worried.
Where
I was worried. I was like, I hope he says something that's not gonna make me mad. No,
So
Super
no,
Smash Brothers.
yeah.
I can agree with you on that. I think
Smash
I can
Brothers
view it very free.
wild.
Yeah.
Just like games you don't know.
Flabbergasted. He doesn't even.
You don't even know
Look at him.
you
He's-
want. Like you know, play other fighting games. Like you know, say they had Mortal Kombat come out.
Who
and all
knew
stuff.
they wanted this game?
Right. Like you want to see Mario beat up Pikachu. Like who knew they wanted to see that? Donkey
Not
Kong
me.
throw Zelda. You know, like who? I'm not sure Zelda was in the first game. Link was. I'm pretty sure though.
Link was in the first game.
Link or
Here's-
Marth.
here's the
You have
characters.
Marth, and then people have. Oh no, I'm not sure Marth's
Marth's not in there either. Stop with all these like garbage characters,
Okay,
bro.
these are melee. This is my melee brain.
Yeah, you're stuck in melee.
Melee-
Stop.
melee-
We'll
melee
get there
lives.
eventually. Here's
Melee
the characters in Super Smash Brothers for the 64. You got Pikachu. All right, you got Ness. You got Mario. You got Captain Falcon.
Oh yeah,
You got Link. You got Donkey Kong. All right, now you got Yoshi. You got Kirby.
Oh,
You got Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff's an original.
Yes, he is. And you got Luigi. Luigi was like the last hidden character I think you can get.
Dang.
Those are like I'm pretty sure that's all 10 characters,
Dang.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And if I am, at me, I don't give a crap. Like whatever, bro.
At
I said
me, where?
Kirby. Yeah, Kirby was in that game. But yeah,
Yeah.
that game, Pokemon Stadium, or I guess Pokemon City, Saffron City, whatever it
Yeah.
was. That was one of my
yeah.
favorite levels.
That that door opens and
but
you
the best
never know
level-
what's gonna come out.
Everybody knows is Corneria. It's on the Starfox ship because it's big, and then you could fight like in that small area
Yeah, in the
by the
front.
jet engines, or you can fight in the front as Fox. Oh, you know what? I forgot Fox, dude.
Fox is in that game.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
Jigglypuff may not be in the game. It may
He
be
is.
Fox.
She is. He is. Whatever. It is. It's in the game.
They are.
It definitely. I'm like 98% sure Jigglypuff was in Super Smash Brothers for the 64. But that game was awesome. Like you can't tell me you and your friends didn't hook up 4 controllers and play that.
Right.
That was one of my favorite games.
You didn't unless you didn't have friends, nerds.
But yeah,
Well,
Super
yeah.
Smash Brothers, dude. That's probably like one of the pinnacles of that
Just
era.
gaming for then on that system.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then like sliding over to like the PS1, like the game, I mean, the reason we're all here, like probably Final Fantasy 7, my guy, fucking just I mean that was like a much later thing in the grand scheme of it, but it was like, oh hey, Like it wasn't even a good. It's not even a good Final Fantasy game, but it's the one everyone knows.
Hot takes out here, bro. Oh my god, that's. I mean, I agree, but I wouldn't have said it out loud.
Like,
No,
I mean,
but I agree. I think Final
since
Fantasy
it's
7,
understood that the game as it was like, oh hey, this is a lot of people's introduction to this.
hey
And this
man,
is like crazy.
it had cutscenes, like
Yeah.
fully pre-rendered like cutscenes.
Oh yeah.
So it was different, man. Like
people were like invested multiple discs like to play the game like crazy.
Well, the other thing too you got to think about is the Final Fantasy games were released prior to that on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And people, I think, kind of forget that. I mean, now we know, right? But
Right.
like before then, like people didn't. Like if you weren't following Final Fantasy 7 was probably your first foray.
Like, oh, what's this?
Yeah, I mean, you also have Tetsuya Nomura, who is the Nomura-san, who was the creator of that game, director.
Yeah.
And he is the one to blame or the one to worship, depending on how you feel,
Right.
for all your spiky-haired anime protagonists in all of your RPGs now, because he started that trend. And he's a creator of Kingdom Hearts, so you can see where that like thread
the
starts,
circle,
right?
the circle closes.
Yeah, you can
in.
see how it started. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII was good for the FMVs and stuff like that. That's where it kind of opened that door up where you're like, yo, like there's story here, right?
From.
You can see an animation that's happening that's not just two characters having dialogue.
Right.
And it also took the Final Fantasy formula and changed it where you're not fighting in just like a fantasy setting. Now we're in like a dystopia, futuristic city style, right?
Trains. You start with the bad guy hopping off this train. And you're just robbery.
And we got hot anime boys and girls,
right, running
spiky
around,
hairs, and
doing the damn
huge,
thing.
big old anime titties. Like the whole nine is in there. Everybody knows Tifa was in the game, but but I'm partial to Sephiroth personally.
Right.
That hair, it's so glorious. It's long. His
he's-
sword
he's
is
a
huge.
god.
It's a long katana. That's awesome.
I mean, don't look into the story of Final Fantasy, like what's actually happening. Because
I can tell you, it's eco-terrorism, but yeah,
it's like just wild.
there's other
wild
stuff going on. He
stuff.
pretty much wants a meteor to hit the earth and cleanse it. But in any case,
Yeah. From that, like you get other games on the PS1, like playing Need for Speed.
Okay, wait, what did you say?
Need for Speed.
Need for Speed, yeah.
Yeah.
I did play a lot of Need for Speed. I played Test Drive as well. I don't know if people remember Test Drive.
I remember Test Drive.
the other
I remember playing it, but I remember playing like a bunch of Need for Speed. And what'd you say? Game you brought up?
I said Crash Bandicoot.
Oh shit.
Because so I've always played platformers, even from the get go. So even looking back to the N64, there was tons of platformers on there. You had Super Mario 64, which now is like a game that people have done things to that it's not even the same game anymore. Where the way you play that like as a speed run is insane. But that game, there's Bomberman 64, which people forget,
shit.
And that game is
man.
I think it was more fun than Super Mario 64, to be honest.
Right.
Super Mario 64 now is more fun, but at the time, the designs for all the characters, even like the little sound clips and everything, were like adorable, and like it took Bomberman to like a different place, and then we never really got to revisit that, unfortunately, in the US. But I love the story. You fight against like other characters from different planets. They're named after star systems. Like it's
wild.
It's so 90s, but I it's awesome. I love it. And then you have
Ocarina
of Time.
I mean,
you have Majora's Mask.
Oh, and I was thinking about other things. You also have GoldenEye.
You got GoldenEye. You got freaking Perfect Dark.
Right. The original Perfect Dark. Oh, man.
You have shooters on there on that stupid-ass controller.
Oh, bro.
Can we talk about the N64
had the gun
for a second?
Gat. It was the young Gat, my guy.
Who has three hands? How am I supposed to hold this with 3 hands?
Right.
I don't got 3 hands.
Who got 3 hands?
So, yeah, there's a lot there that to unpackage as far as the controller is concerned. I had like a blister, like scar on the inside of my palm from playing Mario Party. There's games where you have to like tug of war and stuff, where you have to turn the stick, and you would just you're like, I'm not gonna use my thumb. What am I, like a caveman? Like I'm never gonna be able to beat anybody with my thumb. You smash your palm on there and you twist that thing until your palm is destroyed and you got blisters. Your parents are thinking other stuff is going down. But you're in your room a lot and Why does your hands look like that? These doors got to stay open now.
Got blisters on your hands for being in your room all the
What
time.
is going?
Hey,
No, I just went to my buddy's house. You and your buddy got blisters on each other's hands. You're not going over to look. You cannot hang out with Tommy no more. All right, that's not happening anymore.
That's the end of that. Oh man.
But I mean, those games, like that's that stuff where it's like you grew that like N64 was so encompassing like of your friends. I think that was the biggest thing. And if you didn't have friends back then, dude, I'm sorry. I mean, I guess you could play World of Warcraft on the PC, but like. Or Warcraft 1, not even World of Warcraft. It's called Warcraft.
See, World of Warcraft been around since like damn.
I'm good at single player games.
Well, fucking forever. I think like I don't know. We didn't put like, and I did not own a PS1.
I did.
When like there was a friend who had one, I got to play for like a summer, and then another friend who had one like later. Well, I got to actually play like a bunch of Final Fantasy on, but it didn't have a memory card, so I like just let the game run while I was asleep, and somebody turned it off. When I woke up, I was pissed. I spent like I've been sitting there for like 9 hours playing, like pushing. I mean, realistically, I was gonna beat the game in the time I was there, but I woke up and it was turned off, and I was real upset.
So I remember I don't think I had a memory card for the PS1. No, I did eventually. What was funny is like it was again a situation where my mom was like, the PS1's mine.
Yeah.
64 is yours. Okay. And I played like Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie. I got my platformer on. Like, I did that. I played a bunch of games on the N64. And then my mom kind of gifted me like the system after she was done with it. It's kind of what happened.
You could play CDs and stuff on it too, yeah.
Right. And so what happened was when I got it, she had all her like, she had Crash Bandicoot and stuff. I think she did have a memory card.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, now it's weird because I look back and I'm like, Mom, how are you arguing with me about me pausing my game when Mom, I can't pause this game? You're not understanding that.
You play games.
But you played games and you were smart enough to get a memory card. Because like when I got a PS2 eventually, my parents didn't give me no memory card. And I had to go back and be like, thanks.
I would like to save the game, please.
I need this new though. And then they're like, you're not getting that. I'm like, no, it's not like
no.
I need it though. It's like
I need it.
It's like $5.
Oh snap! That's another thing too. It's wild. I mean, I'm about at the generation jump to like, I guess where the real meat and potatoes games are. Like when we start getting into modern gaming.
I'm still stuck at PS1, bro. Wait, let me gush a little bit more. All right, so we got games like Medieval. All right.
Okay.
We had games like
Medieval's getting re-released.
Medieval did get re-released. I didn't play it. I'm not one to like really delve into nostalgia stuff, but Medieval was great. I played it off a demo disc. I don't know if people remember the PlayStation demo disc that came out with like Game Informer and stuff back then.
Every month a new demo disc is wild.
I played so many games that way. I mean, only like the first levels, but like Tomba's a hidden gem. People didn't play that. You catch pigs in that game. It's a platformer. There's other stuff that goes on.
I remember catching pigs.
But I remember catching pigs specifically. And then there were games, and Tomba got a re-release too. Actually, they were, Twisted Metal, dude.
Oh man,
Twisted Metal got to start on PS1.
Oh wow! I was gonna skip off PS1. Road Rash, dude. Did you play the game Road Rash?
Yeah, hell yeah,
bro. Oh, dude, like some of the fondest memories of like hanging out with my uncle. My uncle's like 11 years older than me. So when I was like, we both
thought
lived with my grandma.
About to get real dark. But
like no. It's like he's like the fondest memories I have is like chilling, like music, like in stereos, music blasting, or like whatever music he was listening to at the time, but just playing fucking Road Rash and just being like fucking whipping people with the fucking chains, kicking their bikes and shit. That shit was godlike.
That shit was pretty wild, bro.
That's like real. Like, I'm not sure if that was even on PS1. I think he may have had the game, or just we were playing on PS2. But it was just Road Rash. So it was like, why wouldn't you play this?
PS1. I played Destruction Derby on PS1 too. Another game where you just crash into people's cars.
Yeah.
But I got really into racing games that generation, which is awesome because I'm before I jump, I'm gonna save this transition, but like there were a ton of other games on the PS1. I got really into JRPGs through the PS1, which was the system, pretty much a golden system for that. They call that era the like JRPG golden era because of so many RPGs that the States was like allowed to kind of receive
just
through the
slide
PS1.
over.
We had Xenogears, Xenosaga, all these games that came out. and of course the Final Fantasy series, and then all these like small series like Dark Cloud, Digimon World 1, 2, and 3. Those are PS1 games.
Like a lot of my like I remember a lot of these Digimon games, but I played them all like on emulators. Like I didn't have them on the system. Um, I mean, I did have them on system. Totally, I had the copy of the game. That's why I was able to play it on emulator. You know, but but I mean, but that and I spend speaking of Digimon games, those are like the games I've spent the most time trying to like find emulators for than anything else.
Yeah, dude.
Digimon
No,
games.
same thing. Like later on in life, you're like,
you know, people are like, oh, these Pokemon games. Like, dude, I mean, yeah, I can go buy what's the name if I want to play a Pokemon game. These Digimon games are like, you can't get these. Like, this is we play Digimon World 4, like and all that stuff. This is like, yeah, this is straight wild. I'm like, I need this.
yeah.
Like, I'm hunting this down. Like, oh, it's Game Boy emulators easy as hell to get. Pokemon's easy as hell to get. I'm not worried about that. Where's this Digimon? Where's this Digimon?
Where's this like niche thing?
Right.
But yeah, they had tons of RPGs that came out, and then that era, it didn't die, but there was just, it was the gold era. That's really the peak for JRPGs, I think, in my opinion. It kind of made a little comeback later, but as far as PS1 concerned, that was like it. Like I played a lot of Crash Bandicoot, played all of those.
Right.
I played
Spyro.
I played all those games like that came out from Rare. Rare was like making killer hardware or killer software.
Yeah.
And for the N64, and then you had companies like Insomniac that got their
Banjo
start
for what's the name?
In like PS1 era. Insomniac, I think, made Pyro. I think they were the ones, and then Naughty Dog was the ones that made Crash Bandicoot. So you had these companies were like pretty.
And then I recently looked up like a thing that like they like Insomniac and Naughty Dog like shared buildings. They're in the same building.
Think about
for
that for
the longest time.
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah, it's like, and I was like, you think about that. So you have like Spyro and Crash. Then you have Jack and Daxter and freaking Ratchet and Clank. It's like these people are in the same building, dude. You're like, holy shit! Like
they go to lunch together.
Right?
Like,
it's like
technically sharing ideas by accident.
So it's like it's crazy to think that like these studios is like, you wonder if these people know each other. It's like know each other. They're here.
They're probably roommates, dude.
Right?
Like,
They're roommates basically.
In Silicon Valley, so
like yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, PS1 era, like that's where a lot of those games got their jump off. And then, how was I gonna transition before?
I don't know what you had.
I was gonna transition by saying using the Man, I can't remember now. That's too bad because it was a pretty good transition.
Well, anyway, we're gonna.
Oh no! I was gonna say that I got my driving game. I got to like really get into driving games on the PS1,
right?
Which prepped me for the PS2 because PS2, I played a lot of driving games, specifically Need for Speed, Underground 1 and 2. Once those hit, dude, it was a wrap for me, bro. Like it hit such a perfect time because think about this, right? You have movies that came out like Fast and the Furious.
Right.
Racing culture, right? Street racing. I was in Japan at the time. Street racing was like outside of my
like your
window,
house.
My guy, like at night. And it wasn't like that same level, but even like the hip hop culture that was involved, like all that stuff melding, like a perfect storm of just like, I'm in it, bro. Like
that, and then in also like skating games as well. Like,
oh hell yeah.
Like that, those two things hitting, like games are hitting. Movies, like everything.
We skipped Tony Hawk Pro Skater and PS1, but
hey,
you can play on PS2 too, so it's okay.
Hey, we're still here. We reserve the right to go back and bring any PS1 games to PS2.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, 2, and 3, great. You can play as Spider-Man, Darth Maul, and Wolverine. Those are freaking awesome games, man.
Crazy. I'm thinking I had basically now we're in the next generation of systems: PS2, Xbox, and the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
I had all three systems at different times. Realistically, it's odd way how that shook out. Like great games on PS3 specifically. Like my PlayStation, PS2. When I said the game, it was gonna line it back up. My PlayStation 2 broke playing God of War. Like I didn't get to finish God of War because my PlayStation 2 stopped working playing God of War. Like. I know a game that I'm pretty sure a game that had come out before that and I got to play on PS2 was the Wolverine Origins game. I want to say that came out before that because I remember it looking like garbage.
On the PS2?
I feel like that in my heart of hearts. I feel that, but it probably wasn't. I think it was.
know.
It's probably
It wasn't. The
It probably
hardware
just
wouldn't have been enough
probably
because
bad
you got to
looking
think about what was happening in that game.
Yeah,
People were losing limbs.
It
His
was
clothes were like reconstructing itself.
yeah.
When he got in fights, you could see his like skeletal structure, and then it would like
Yeah,
heal
that's probably too. That's
that was
probably too.
next gen.
But playing like God of War
Yeah.
on the PS2, like I have like more memories of playing like games on my Xbox because I had my Xbox for longer. And the specific games on my GameCube, I didn't have a lot of games on my GameCube, but I played the shit out of the games I did have. Specifically SSX like snowboarding games. Bam, was another thing that hit like in this generation.
Yeah.
Fucking SSX Tricky on the GameCube, dude. Oh man.
But we weren't still out of like the skating era because even SSX Tricky hit and Jet Set Radio hit too.
Oh yeah.
And those games were getting like so much love at the time. So
right.
We still weren't out like of that Tony Hawk era of video games.
Oh yeah, that period extended like through that whole console generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like that went well into the 360 era. But yeah, playing Melee on the GameCube, SSX Tricky. I think I probably put more hours into Melee than I have anything else ever. Like still combined time across games, everything. Like I played dumb amounts of Melee.
Like, I think for me, I actually didn't have Melee. I didn't have a GameCube, so I played at my friend's house. But the game that we played the most, because we played Melee for tournaments,
right?
But we played Phantasy Star Online 2, actually, a whole metric shit ton. Like
I played Phantasy Star, I guess would have been one. Like that Phantasy Star is a real interesting series. Like how, because you're playing Phantasy Star Online 2 on the GameCube.
Oh, it might have been 1.
Yeah, like I played 1 on the 360, the demo. Like I remember that specifically because I was in where I was and the friends I was playing with online. I didn't have online for the original Xbox. I had online for the 360 though.
Oh, I mean, we played it's GameCube, so we played all 4 people like in the same room.
Okay. And that was it because. And it may have okay, you may have just been Phantasy Star 1, and Phantasy Star Online may have been something different.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Phantasy Star. That's what I meant.
That's
whatever, bro. Yeah, you know what I meant.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes more sense. Cause I was like, online. I remember playing Star Online, and I was like, we were really in there playing that demo for hours.
Hey man, and dungeon crawlers, they got a lot of replayability.
Like, you didn't get to do much. Like, we got to do like maybe 2 dungeons, but we was in there for hours, dummy hours.
Melee also had, or not Melee, the GameCube. I call it Melee because that's everybody. The Melee system.
Melee.
It has one of the best intros.
Luigi's Mansion, dude.
Luigi's Mansion's great. They had Mario,
the intro.
Mario Sunshine.
Will you turn it on?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That and throwing games in your like.
PS2 still for me is like the master sound because it's like blows your bass out.
But it's only like when the game actually loads. I'm talking about like when you put a game in and you're not sure whether or not it's gonna work, and it's like you're sitting there like, oh, and then it does the thing. It's like, ah, like, victory.
That loud ass noise.
Yeah.
We do sound effects now.
Yeah,
or Foley composers or whatever they're called.
But yeah, so that and then like kicking over to the Xbox. This is the thing. I had Halo 1 and I had no idea what it was. Like I played Jet Set Radio Future and Sega GT 2002 all the time. Put Jet Set, just bump to the music. I still listen to the music now. I have playlists of the songs from the game because the music is great. And then I just have like you can like save your music straight to the Xbox,
right?
And then just play that while I was playing.
That's the one reason I love the Xbox.
Yeah, you rip your discs off like onto the thing, and then playing. Oh man, what game did I say? I had Halo, but I had like a jewel case with Halo. I didn't have the actual hard or the actual
Yes.
box for Halo.
Uh,
So it was like I had it and I like played it, but I had no like, and this is like really before I had the internet and had access to the internet, knew where to go on the internet to like talk to people and stuff like that. So I had Halo and didn't know what it was, but I remember like watching like I'm pretty sure it was Tech TV at the time before it was even G4 or Tech TV, like just regular Tech TV at the time, like and like Halo 2's coming out and the world is like ready. The world's body is ready. I'm like, Halo 2. I got Halo in here. Was this supposed to be something? Like, you talking about like the sequel to this game? Like, no idea what it was, but get to come into the Halo 2 era, like, oh yeah, I did. Like, of the like 3 games I had for my 360,
nuts,
this is what this is.
How much you like, and how much you kind of dote on Xbox.
Right.
Like, it's funny that you're like, I had Combat Evolved, but like, I didn't even really like.
I didn't. I mean, because one, it was kind of hard, like for me as a kid, like young.
It's
and
like
then
the first probably like real shooter you've played.
Real shooter, like that's not GoldenEye where GoldenEye's doing its own thing. It's like this is an actual shooter trying to actually play itself.
That's like a hallway shooter, and this is like you got to look like everywhere, 360 degrees. And that controller is massive, for no reason. Has a giant Xbox symbol in the middle of the controller, it does nothing
for no reason at all. So it was like really trying to come in on that. It was crazy. Like, but I played my Xbox more than anything else easily.
Really,
playing Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 on that.
Yeah, that's the thing is that's like. Ugh. It's technically a PC. Like I always consider that the PC game.
Yeah.
But like I forgot that it
was exclusive. It was exclusive to that console.
Yeah.
And I like the Xbox like memory. It says it's plus like 50,000 units. I don't know what that is in actual space, but I filled that space with saves from Knights of the Republic 1 and 2. Because I hit a point I'm playing the game and I went to save and I couldn't because I had any space. I was like, what?
What do I do?
I was like, you can run out of space. It's like going from situations where you had your PS2 where you had like a memory card. You'd be like, okay, you know how much space you have. Or you're playing the other stuff. It's like 50,000 units. I'd have ripped CDs and all kinds of things to this thing. This in unlimited space. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, oh no, you're out of space. I'm like, what? I had 100. Like I'm pretty sure I played. I started to play through Knights of the Republic 1.
Yeah.
Got to a point like when you're on Manon, if you don't pick up the coin, like to show the people at the trial, they just kill you. So I did everything I could think about at the time, and I was like, okay, this game is busted. So I went and played 2, like, and that was on Manon before the reveal happened.
Like, F this game,
right?
I'll come back someday.
I'll come back to it. So I went and played 2, and they're talking about Revan and all this other wild stuff, but that was the Manon thing happened for me. I think I went to Manon first, so this is before the reveal. Like I go back and like I beat 2, go back and play 1. And then I'm like, oh my god, this game is amazing. like get my mind blown. Like, and that was the thing, because like I got my Xbox so far into the cycle, like I got both of those games at the same time.
Okay.
Like that was how late I was realistically. Like, I think I got the no, I think I just got both those games for Christmas. I didn't know they existed, so I had the system, and I just did one Christmas. I got both games. Like I just was playing Sega GT and Halo. I guess. I mean, you play Halo with people, like your friends, but you're playing, but you don't. I don't have enough friends to be like, oh hey, we're playing Halo with like 4 people and stuff. It's just me and my cousin, and I'll just shoot her, and she shoots me, and like whatever. It's not like, oh hey, there's like LAN parties and stuff. I'm
you didn't get
effectively too young for that.
You didn't
almost
experience that.
Like not until Halo 2.
Right. I got pulled into LAN parties at that age, or we're about the same age. So like what happened was my cousin. So I think this is the cool thing about being like 1 overseas, 2 military, right? I might be revealing a little bit too much, but like his dad was in the military. His dad is a Marine. So us like going over his house, he had video games, right? And my cousin's younger than me. Like he was playing video games at a super young age. But his dad had all his Marine buddies come over. They all had Xbox because they were at that age, right? They're young 20-year-old, 19-year-old Marines.
Right.
They all bring their TVs over. It's a LAN party, bro. And I get the sticks passed to me. Me and my cousin are like in the rotation, right? There's 16 people here, bro. And we're out here lighting people up. Grown men are getting pissed off at like these 2 like under 12, like maybe I was 10 at the time, right? And like we're smoking people. Who's Silent Wolf? And I'm like trying to be quiet. He's like, what a gay name, and I'm getting sniped. Also, I don't hold those views. I know I said that word, but it's
Right.
it's a different era. I'm quoting somebody. In any
Right.
case,
So it's cool.
in any case,
They might be dead now. So.
in any
Realistic.
case, that was my first foray into like online, I guess, quote unquote, online gaming,
Right.
where it was just like massive amounts of fun. Like, there's no way to capture that like initial like cherry popping experience.
Of like playing like games like that.
Yeah, of playing like a highly competitive game where people can like shit talk and
Oh
like
yeah.
I mean that's a lobby pre-lobby. So that kind of like was my gaming maturity moment, I guess, where like
Yeah.
I went from being like a boy who plays video games to being like
Oh,
a
man.
man child who plays video games. I guess a child to a man child who plays video games. But that I actually got to experience that, which I got lucky enough to get pulled in, like me and my cousin just playing video games.
Oh yeah.
But the Xbox was also like I really just had the PS2, and I had to beg my parents for that. I remember, and they got me. I remember this to this day because it's one of those like I'm so happy I got the console. I hope they got a game that I like, right? Because like that was always the struggle as a kid. Your parents
Right.
they do their best, and it's like I got him this thing that everybody's been talking about nonstop, and he's been begging me for, and I also have to get this piece of software for it.
Right.
Like, I don't know what to get. Let me get some with cartoon characters on the front, right?
Oh,
And
rip.
it's like if you weren't specific enough, your parents were just like you were at the mercy of like your parents, and sometimes you got bangers by accident, and I got a banger by accident, dude. I got blessed. I remember getting it. The game was like Roo something, right? He was like a kangaroo, or yeah, he was a kangaroo. Ty the Tasmanian tiger.
Tiger. Yeah. Time Tiger. Yeah.
And it was Australian. Like the whole game was made in Australia, right?
Right.
Like all the characters are voice acted in Australian accents. And it was like I remember getting it and I was like, okay, I'm one of those kids who are like hyper grateful about stuff, right? And I might be like my like upbringing or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, like great. I'm glad I got like a game and I'm glad I got the PS2 and I started playing it and that game was amazing, dude. Like my parents
Balling out.
hooked me up by accident. It was awesome. I got blessed. But I had that game. I had the second. I remember this is how much I loved it. Like that game came out, right? I played through it like multiple times, and then I was like, "Hey, can I get the second game?" Like
Right.
2 years later, I was like, "Is it cool if I pick up the second game?" Like, yeah, yeah. And like that was the thing where it's like you accidentally get introduced to a system. But here's the thing
The
about
system ended like a series that's like not hyper hype, but it was still like good.
right. And I think there was a lot of games like that, but the PS2. I had tons of games for the PS2. There were still more Final Fantasy games to play on PS2. How about Final Fantasy X, which had the first voice acted cutscenes in a game? Or voice
How
acted
about
anything?
Spider-Man 2?
Yo, Spider-Man 2 was the shit. Web swinging that was like
Oh,
physics
Right. Oh
accurate
man.
almost.
It was like you needed to have something to swing off of. You could like launch yourself. Oh my.
Great game.
Like shout out to Marvel Spider-Man for bringing it back.
It was great because I had to play the PlayStation 1 Spider-Man games.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I'm a big Spider-Man like fanboy. So playing the Spider-Man 1 PS1 games, dude, they're not good. Even as a kid,
Yeah.
I was like, these are terrible. I'm going to play them because I love Spider-Man.
Right.
But beyond that, I hate these games.
I
Like,
didn't mention before Spider-Man versus Carnage, like on Super Nintendo or something like that.
Mhm.
Another thing I was going to mention, like you're saying, like how your thing with game was. I didn't get bought a lot of games, but so this was like prime, like this generation was prime time of renting games for me.
oh,
We had a
yeah.
movie gallery. Like I'm not sure how many miles I walked from my house to this place. Like it is at least 10 blocks, legit. Like me remember, like I could probably look it up. I'll map it at some point. But I remember like I would walk there like most of the times on the weekends, and like they had a thing where they put a game zone in the movie gallery. And it was like a place where like they had systems sitting on the side where you could pay like $10 and play what you wanted to play all day there. And I would go up there and do that. And the other time where my mom had put like a different thing on my account where I could rent whatever I wanted. Like you know how now it's like, oh, your rating systems on games are important and all that type of stuff. My mom put a thing on my account where I could play literally whatever like. I can come up and just get whatever I wanted. And this is a time where you could do that. You can't do that now. But it was like, oh yeah, she makes one thing on my account or on the account where I could just go up there, be like, hey, give me this game. They like, I give them my phone number. They look at my account and be like, oh yeah, his thing has a thing on it. So I can just walk out the store. That's not like I got to play God of War at like however old I was. I just rented it
way before you were supposed to be able to.
Say it didn't matter, dude. I just got to walk up to the place, like, hey, let me get that. Come out the store with it. So rentals were hype for me during this time because I mean it was really like you were in it for like 5 days or whatever.
Yeah,
and I was really like about how long I needed to play games. Oh, shout out to Fable 1 on Xbox as well. That's
about Fable.
That's another hype joint. Bro, and like how the like rental system worked. Like I played Fable the second time. I beat Fable in 5 hours. I started over, beat Fable in 5 hours, took it back to the store and rented something else. And just like it was like because like it was wild.
Speedrun master out here, bro.
Like and it was and that like through like games were like crazy. Like probably my favorite racing game from like in all time is from this generation, at the end of this generation specifically, but like in this generation of specifically Need for Speed Most Wanted. I don't
Need for Speed Most Wanted. So wait, before we get there, you can't just go straight there. All right, there is a process. Okay, you can't just go straight to Most Wanted. You know this. You have to start.
There was a build.
You have to start underground. All right.
There was
Need
a build.
for Speed Underground, which had at the time I thought was the best soundtrack I've ever heard in my life.
So many people know Get Low.
Because of
to
that
the window, to the wall. Like, yeah, that was. Oh man!
Like you get
the world wasn't ready for that.
You get the car, you build it right. You put the neon everywhere they would let you. Like your car is like bright as the sun when you're coming down driving. Like these police aren't supposed to see you coming down. So you have Need for Speed 1, right? Awesome game. Need for Speed 2 hits. Need for Speed Underground 2 hits. And then I'm like, okay, what I said before about the soundtrack, no, this is it. This is the one.
Riders on the Storm, the Snoop. Oh man, that remix.
Yo, they had the Snoop Dogg. Was that Underground 2 that had the Snoop Dogg Pharrell song?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
The Snoop, that song.
I don't know if that was in that game.
Yes, it was.
It couldn't have been.
No, yes, it was.
That song is
look it
too
up.
hype.
No,
why?
That song was in the game. Don't make me do that on a podcast and then say it's not in the game, please. That would make me so sad.
Drop It Like It's Hot is the name of that song.
Yeah, I can't believe.
And I don't think.
I'm telling you, man,
dude. If that get, I don't remember if it was, and if it is, holy shit,
it's in the game. EA had the game's license, so they were like buying up songs put in this game. What's crazy is at the time, like for PS2, the competitor for Need for Speed was like Midnight Club. And Midnight Club was like decent, but it was built off of the Grand Theft Auto because it was a Rockstar game. It was built off that engine, which is why it looked like garbage, and it played like more like a kart game. But it was still pretty hype. Like you just couldn't customize stuff as well. I'm telling you, Drop It Like It's Hot is on there. You gotta find it. It's either on 1 or 2. I think it's on 2.
Soundtrack appearances? Okay. Oof, my big. That's the oof, man. No, it's not.
It's not on Underground 2.
No, it's not on Underground 2. No.
Gamer card has been revoked.
This might be too late, realistically.
Check Underground 1.
It wouldn't. No. I'm looking at the game. Or the song itself, and it's like the soundtrack appearances. It's showing the games that it was on, and it Need for Speed. None of them.
What?
None of them.
Was I just listening to that song in the background while I was playing?
Possibly, probably. I know. I remember the Riders on the Storm Snoop remix. Chingy was in.
Chingy was on it.
On Underground 2. T.I. was on 1. Specifically remember, like they were like banger songs too, like, and I think that's another like place where you end up getting like a lot of cross pollination of like of like songs you like there are songs I like from like Need for Speed games. I don't know who the artist is. I've never heard another song that they've made, but this was like my banger when I was when I was playing this game.
That was a video game on the PS1 called I think it's just called Skate.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And that had like a bunch of ska. That was my introduction to ska music. and unfortunately, I got infected because like I was like, "Yo, this is awesome! I love this."
So I came before
Like,
Reagan. Fucking. Oh
but
man.
but yeah, the soundtracks for these games were awesome. So we go from Need for Speed Underground 1, and we hit 2, right?
Right.
And I was like, these games, man, they can't get any better, dude. Maybe they'll make a 3.
Right.
Wrong. They released Most Wanted. And Most Wanted, to me, is the pinnacle of Need for Speed. They've never made a game that has bested that.
No.
And that's 3 generations ago.
And I don't think they ever will. And that was actually a game that was actually straddling a generation.
Yeah, it ended up becoming on the next generation too, but I only played it on the PS2.
And I'm in other games I played. Call of Duty. I think it was 2, or I think it was like they released like
World
2
War
games at the same time. Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty Big Red 1, like at the same time, like on the different consoles. It existed at different games, but I remember playing that as well. But yeah, Need for Speed Most Wanted was, I like, second behind Melee in time. That game was just spent life in it.
Just like getting away from cops.
Right. Driving, like I took that Cobalt SS to places Cobalt SSs will never get to.
Shouldn't be. It's like this is sacrilege. You should never even drive this thing where you're going.
Right. But I had that car, and then like playing through it again, like understanding like how the Junkman parts work, or like it upgrades whatever, like the last version you get all the different Junkman parts. Like, you don't want people's cars. No. Fuck your pink slips. I want the Junkman parts for everybody. And then you level the car all the way up, and then you put all the Junkman parts on there afterwards, and it's like, there's very few other things like games I've played, like they're all the driving games I've played through or whatever, where it's like you build this car where you're running from the cops with it, you're doing all this racing stuff where like when you move like you want it to turn, you know exactly what the car's gonna do. Like, you're doing magic tricks.
Yo, you're right
with
though.
Vehicles.
Like it is like it's an extension of you. Like, but there's at least like 3 or 4 layers of like there's you, your hands, the controller,
right,
the system, the TV. There's lag, obviously. Like there's multiple amounts of lag, and yet for whatever reason,
that you had built that car, so you had worked like, and the other part is you can like tweak like when it shifts and all that stuff, but you're a kid. If you weren't really paying attention, you didn't know that. You just knew what the car was going to do,
right?
And you're racing the cops.
Your
like,
brain made up for anything that you couldn't fix in the car itself.
Right.
Your brain just was like, I got you. Like, don't worry.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
You're hitting corners. You're like, okay, I need to hit the brake like a quarter second of brake. You slide, hit the curb, bam, you're gone. Bro, styling on the cops in that game, 2-hour chases, running from the cops for
because weren't there like missions or like challenges?
Running from the cops for 65 minutes.
Like real time.
Real time 65 minutes.
Bro.
Like you're out here just driving in the, like, it gets intense like once it gets to 5 and there's like rhinos coming every few seconds.
Corvettes pop out and you're
dude,
like, uh-oh. Like,
you're out here driving like that. There are very few games that are as awesome and as intense as that, because it's like, because you don't take on that challenge until you think you can do it. You're like, I can run from the cops for 2 hours, and then like the different like other parts where like they show up in a race and you get away like on 2 flat tires and stuff like that, where you're like, my car is. I can't run from these people right now. You have like little parts where you like drop down the thing and it stops the car so you can like hide, and you're like, dude, I dropped that donut on so many cop cars. It was nothing. That donut crushed thousands of cars. It was nothing.
Just like that, sweating after like a race.
Oh,
like,
man, you're just like
you put work in.
Like you really ran from the cops for 2 hours. That dude, and I don't know if there's a better like designed like portion of a track than that highway. That highway loop. Oh my, dude! Like at the point where you going it like probably clockwise or whatever direction you usually go down it, and then you go down it the other way, and you're learning like new other shortcut paths.
You hit like, my favorite area was always, there was like a huge ass like open type area. It was by the backside of the highway where it was like by that golf course.
Yeah.
And you would hit like a bridge and a tunnel, like kind of in that area.
Yeah.
And like leading up to it, it was just like you could just gun it and you would be gone. Like there was nothing that could touch you.
It's so great, dude.
And just knowing, like, it's funny, like you say that, like just knowing so well to a T, like
exactly what your car can do.
I need this car to move here. There was no deliberation. There was no It was just, it happened. Like, the game played itself to a certain degree. It's like you mind melded with your car. This thing moved as you thought it. That's how insane
It's
that game
great,
is made. And
dude.
like, it's
The only
weird that they've never been able to capture that. They've tried.
right, they've tried hard.
They tried so hard.
I bought Carbon. Carbon.
Carbon
I'm
introduced
pretty
like
sure
the
it was
pro
that was
racing
okay.
circuits.
This is going outside of the generation of games we clearly talk about, but we just need to explain to you how good this game was. All right, how good Most Wanted was in comparison. But like, I bought Carbon. Carbon was like shortly after Tokyo Drift came out.
Yeah.
Because it was like, Japanese drifting down mountains, crazy stuff. And you're like, I love all this stuff. like I'm here fully for all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tokyo Drift wasn't a great movie.
Wasn't even a good movie.
It's not even a good movie. I mean, but if you're a little, or younger child, teen-ish, you're like, oh, drifting. This is great. This is amazing. Or him driving, like fixing the car. He's like, I'm here for it. Let's go. You're here playing this game. And you're like, this isn't. Where the cops at? Where my 2-hour cop chases at? What was going on?
Yeah.
What is this game? Like, they lost all of that. And that was the heart and soul of what Most Wanted was. Getting up the blacklist, like, I think that one's really the one that, like, incorporated, like, or Most Wanted had, like, some parts about it that were bad, the, like, video cutscene, whatever. With all
no, Underground had it.
It gave you enough to, like, you had a reason to do what you're doing. Like, the guy, like, fucked up your car and like beat you in a race so he could like, and he used your car to beat everybody else. And you're like, this little bitch. And so it was almost like what is it? New Vegas. Like, dude, like shoot you at the beginning, you're like, I'm here to fuck this guy up. That's how I was with New Vegas. I killed Benny and that was it. I was done. I was like, yeah, I don't care about the rest of what's going on. I got my get back. I'm good. Right. Now it's like I don't need it. So it's like that. I mean, we spent a good bit of time talking about Most Wanted. Most Wanted is probably of the tier list of games from the beginning of time
there,
to
you
that
can put it
situation.
In top 5.
Yeah, that's easy. Most Wanted is.
I'd put it in my top 5.
That's the reason people still buy Need for Speed games now. They're trying to find that Most Wanted thing. That's why they made a whole nother game. They just dropped a random Need for Speed, just call it Need for Speed Most Wanted. Because they know that's what people want.
Yeah.
They've done that. They've made Need for Speed and they're just like, Need for Speed Most Wanted. like they just threw that title out there again because they know that's what people want.
Yeah.
Because that you'll never recapture that. It's crazy.
Just in working off back of that, I also played a lot of Burnout, because Burnout was out around the same time.
Right, yeah.
I got introduced to Burnout. Burnout was like the game I ended up shifting over to as the generations progressed because, like I said, Most Wanted was a pinnacle of Need for Speed. After that, they never captured that magic.
They never hit that again, yeah.
Because even Underground 1 and 2 had enough magic where it was like, yeah, this game is awesome. Okay, this game is awesome. Okay, what is, like...
The Burnout, Takedown, I remember.
Takedown was awesome.
Paradise, like, it's all just crazy.
Yeah. And then,
crazy and great racing.
As far as, there was a unsung console, the Dreamcast, which is like, I think everybody had a friend that you knew, like an obscure friend who's like, I have this Dreamcast, and you go and play it, and that had like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is my introduction to, like, really, I had Tekken on the PlayStation, which I thought I was a god at because the only people you play is like the people in your house or like
that's
your
me
friends.
in Melee. This is me in Melee. I was like, oh, and that was the other thing I was gonna do about Melee, like playing like with people who play other video games. Like my uncle, we had like Madden 2003, and he would crush me in Madden, but we'd go over to Melee and I would whoop his ass. It's like that game allowed other things. But yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom.
Marvel vs. Capcom and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like, everything I love about it, anime characters, pretty much, Capcom, fighting, like, superheroes.
Right.
You could be Spider-Man. Like, it was done deal, dude.
It was all of it.
Like, I had no chance. That's what I had. All right.
Oh, by the way, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is going to be at EVO this year.
Yeah.
It's 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, they're bound to have like invitational for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at EVO.
Speaking of no chance, that's what you got. If you picked up on that reference, I wouldn't say it's a deep cut, but it's a line from a song.
Oh, no chance.
And it's Vince McMahon's intro music. And speaking of Vince McMahon, SmackDown and Raw video games on the PlayStation 2 are some of my favorite memories of all time. Me and my friends doing Royal Rumbles. I mean, back in WCW Nitro, like that game on the 64 introduced the Royal Rumble like formula on a video game, and that was great.
Yeah.
But once you get to play like the drama side, like you got to play the soap opera stuff with your wrestling, and you could jump off the SmackDown fist Like, I literally made a character. I got into the character creation so deep that I made a character who was, again, Spider-Man. They had an intro where he could come, like, upside down. He would enter the arena upside down on a wire. Pretty much Spider-Man without saying it. And I just, like, created his mask, layered it on top of layers. Like, to Photoshop this dude together so that it was just Spider-Man in the ring. I made all his, like, moveset, like, real, like high flyer, acrobatic type stuff. And I would just jump off the SmackDown fist and destroy people. So, SmackDown versus Raw, very special place in my heart in the PlayStation. And then, of course, again, like I said before, Final Fantasy X. And then the game series that pretty much is the king to me.
Oh.
Is Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts came out on the PlayStation 2, and I have never been the same. I am like 100% involved at this point. They can release I just looked before we even started the podcast. They're gonna release like an anniversary collection. I have all those games. I actually have multiple copies. I have the Japanese versions of these games, the English versions. Every time they re-release it, I pick it up.
Yeah.
And they release it again, I'm gonna have to buy it. Like, it's at this point, it's not even Stockholm syndrome. Like, right. I'm happy to give them my money for a game that I have 5 copies of at home.
Right.
In any language. Like, I can just, oh yeah, you want it in Japanese? I got it Japanese. Oh, you want it in English? Right here. Oh, you want the original soundtrack? I got that too. Oh, you want just sounds from the game? I got those too. I got a sound bank. It's just sounds from. Oh, you item pickup? Bling. That's on my phone. What's up? Like,
there's nothing.
All this stuff. That's how invested I am in this series. And for those of you who don't know, Kingdom Hearts was a series that was a combination of Final Fantasy characters meets Disney characters. And we live in some weird universe where that was allowed to happen. Literally, it was an elevator meeting. Tetsuya Nomura was in an elevator with a Disney exec. They started talking, and then out of the elevator came Kingdom Hearts, which is one of my favorite series of all time.
Wild.
But, I mean, I could probably go on and on. We've been going on for a while about video games.
And there's a few more games I want to mention and pass and not get deep into, but other games that came out in this generation. Like, I'm pretty sure what's up. Def Jam Vendetta might have came out in the generation before.
I was going to say Def Jam.
Def Jam Fight for New York. Ugh, great. This game passing. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
I'm not on that Sonic Adventure shit, dude. Like,
the
you can't
child,
convince
dude.
me.
Oh my dude. Like that that was a like I don't even know what the second level of Sonic looks like.
At the speed of sound.
I don't know what the second level of Sonic was. I remember the first level was, and I remember what the child level looked like. I don't know what nothing else in that game looked like. And it's crazy. I mean, I guess I do because there are other levels I remember. I remember playing it, but I've spent a bunch of time in the child levels and doing stuff. And then Soul Calibur 2 came out in this generation of games, and it was like the one where each console had its own special character.
Yeah.
So you had I'm pretty sure
it was Link on GameCube.
Link on GameCube.
Darth Vader, Yoda.
No, it was Spawn.
Oh yeah.
And
Spawn and then Kratos.
It might have been Kratos. I'm not sure if it was Kratos, but I think it was Kratos.
Well, and Jack and Daxter. Which is another game on the PS2. Great game.
And I had Soul Calibur 2 for the GameCube. Oh, with Link, that Megaton Hammer son, he had this like swing move he did. You crush people. It was great. But this was like the last console generation where you were. I mean, we didn't really even talk about Halo 2, realistically. But
I mean, we didn't also talk about Grand Theft Auto. Like, we mentioned it in passing, which is crazy because San Andreas came out on PS2 and Vice City. So
wow. Okay,
I'm glad. We love video games. It's not. We don't.
Yeah. Okay.
We
can easily gush about the top games like we did for Most Wanted.
Right.
But
we also wanted to tell you guys. We also wanted to tell you guys by like some not even obscure games, just games that have a more special place. Everybody loves Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. You know what it is. What are you doing here?
They're making the most money of anybody making video games right now. Why would I mention that?
If you don't know what that game is, what are you doing here?
Right. What are you doing? Jeez, oh man, I was like, I thought I was
yeah, you're I get my gamer card revoked.
Right, I'm glad we said something. Oh shit, but yeah, that's that. I mean, and that covers it. I mean, doesn't cover it. There are thousands of other games.
We probably could have narrowed it down.
Splinter Cell, fucking. I mean, it's a lot of there's tons and
Rainbow
tons
Six
of other
Vegas.
games.
I mean, they're
yeah.
We're gonna keep doing this if we don't stop.
Right, you're just run through a list. We just have a podcast. We just name games for
Throwing
like
them at each
6 hours. But yeah, I mean that is all we're going to talk about today. Not all there is, but all we are going to talk about.
We are going to cut it short. So here's the
Right.
thing, though. We would love for you guys to comment some of your favorite game moments, whether it's gaming memories. Just pick in there like, yeah, this game was the game that I remember, like kind of being the game where I opened myself up and started playing all kinds of games like this.
Right.
Or even just like, this is the game I'm most fondly
remember from a system.
and this is where I brought it from. But like, leave that comment. This is, leave a like. That would be awesome. Leave a follow, leave a subscription. Do what you can. Hopefully we get you and more people listening.
Right.
But I mean, that was it for me.
That's it for me. I'm still.
He's still reeling from GTA.
Like, right, reeling from GTA.
He still can't believe he forgot it.
We really talked about this in the minutes GTA. It's crazy. But yeah, now that's all we got for this week. Yep. And we'll see you next time. I'm Brian.
Bye.
Peace.